I have some quotes from Primo Levi, that person who wrote a great deal about topics like this. Primo Levi famously wrote that monsters exist, but they are too few in number to be truly dangerous. More dangerous are the common men, the functionaries ready to believe and to act without asking questions. Institutions like the Home Office exist because people believe that they are merely enforcing the law and acting as extensions of the law, and that there's no choice about this. However, the law only means something if we're willing to practice it. The law only means something if we're willing to live it and willing to carry it through in our daily lives. The law can be made unworkable, and law only works if we're able to defer to it, if we want to defer to it and defer to authority. And that is the lesson of the Nazi experience. Nazism wouldn't have been able to happen if people weren't willing to defer to it. And in Never Again Ever, we constantly emphasize the point that, as Primo Levi said, Auschwitz is around us, it's outside of us, and it is in the air. The plague has dried away, but the infection still lingers. However, at the same time, the Holocaust was only made inevitable and only made possible because the Shoah occurred as a rejection of human solidarity, as well as through obtuse and cynical indifference to suffering of others, the application of intellect and moral sense, and the valuing of a principle of authority and colossal cowardice that masked itself as love of country and of an idea. We are here in complete opposition to all those principles as a way to practice Holocaust Memorial in a deeply politicized and deeply responsible way.
We are in front of a Home Office with Bilal Ahmed, who is coming from an Islamic country. He's wearing the scarf of Palestine, but you read here a poem by Primo Levi, a poem by the Italian poet who was prosecuted by Nazis, who was one of the prominent intellectuals to expose the risk also of new Nazism. Okay, now which are the new risks of Nazism?
I think that I think that maybe seeing it as a new risk of Nazism misunderstands the problem. The fact of the matter is that after the fall of Nazi Germany, there are many features of state governance, the way we structure our societies, the way we approach the economy, that simply weren't confronted, that were simply not discussed, and continue not to be discussed sufficiently. And we can see a large part of the problem present in the current migrant crisis. The fact of the matter is that many of the features that led to the rise of fascism in Europe are still with us. And the fact that I am from a Muslim background is important because, in my opinion, Muslims are being subject to discrimination partially as a proxy for anti-Semitism that has been officially discredited, but could reemerge again. And we being Muslims in Europe, we could be part of the way that anti-Semitism reemerges in this continent.
How?
Because of the fact that anti-Semitism is able to express itself as Islamophobia. You can't necessarily say that you hate Jews in public discourse in many liberal European states, but you can pass laws against Muslim worship and against, for example, niqabs. And as a result of how that functions in the public arena and in how people think about this minority of people, this religiously visible minority of people, you end up creating the mechanism by which anti-Semitism can return to Europe and by which many other forms of prejudice can actually express themselves in public discourse and in the public arena again, even though they are right now currently not able to do that.
What do you think about the Muslims who deny Shoah, who even show sympathy sometimes with far-right movements denying Shoah?
Listen, one of the things about this is that the memory of the Shoah has been so fused with Israeli state policy in the Middle East that it is difficult to divorce the two. And I would argue that part of the problem in Palestine and with the question of Palestinian self-determination is exactly this one, that we cannot sufficiently remember the Shoah and think about why it happened and prevent it from happening again, as long as it is being politicized this heavily by the state of Israel and being politicized in such a manner to repurpose fascism as it was practiced in Europe in order to further Israeli state objectives. That's just one point. The other point is that it actually obviously is not what needs to be happening as a result of the state of minorities in many countries in the Muslim world, including my ancestral country of Pakistan, which is facing discrimination against Christians and discrimination against Ahmadiyya Muslims, and much of that is occurring for the same reason as the discrimination of Jews, Roma and Sinti people, political dissidents like communists, and so on and so forth in the Central European countries as they went fascist.